Hello, Music Multiverse listeners, and welcome to another Panelist Favorites Show. Tonight, the albums we're talking about are 10 years old. That's right, 2014. Ebola. That's nice. ISIS. And I'm not talking about the band. But nothing was worse, in my opinion, than the suicide of Robin Williams, which shattered 2014. We had smart watches. We had dumb movies. We had a Lego movie, which actually was smarter than the dumb movie. And again, we had a movie that showed us how punishing the life of a drummer can be. And speaking of drumming, hey, you beat to a different drummer? We love that. So subscribe to the channel and you can bang on our drum all day. I guess you can take that any way you want. So here we go. Let's meet the guardians of our audio galaxy tonight. Of course, back, finally, your grateful dude, looking as good as it gets. Look at that, you know? Look at that. What's the shirt say? Let me see the shirt. Jeff, that says it all. Get in the kitchen, make me a pie. We got our Suzie Q. We got Jeff DeYoung. And
hello.
Again, back Jeff DeYoung from New Jersey.
You're being invaded by Jeffs tonight.
Yeah, that's right. We if Jeff Crichton would have showed up, man, we'd have had 4. Crazy.
I think it's Mark's secret dream to just have a whole show of Jeffs.
I'm gonna have an entire army of Jeffs, and I'm going to take over. I don't know, some small countries. There's small
2 wrongs
available?
make a right. 4 Jeffs make a show.
All right, so the panelists tonight got 5 albums they would love to share. We might have some time for some honorable mentions. So I will let the lady kick us off with her number 5, Suzie Q.
All right. Well, I went with Taylor Swift, 1989. I wasn't going to, but then, in all fairness, it was a changing album for her in changing times and made her full-fledged pop. And we all know Shake It Off. And I apologize for my voice because it's coming and going, so I'm not going to sing any of her songs. But she doubled down on her music, on the sound, on the lyrics, and she dug in. And I think it was kind of like the trampoline that launched everything. So it's worth a listen to go back. I think since the Super Bowl and the months and months and months of build up, she's kind of done a decent job of staying out of the media. So I thought tonight that I would bring her back in and give her a little nod because she deserves it. 2014, 1989.
1989. What a wonderful year that was.
Was it?
Yeah. Weren't you and I dating at that time?
Sure.
Okay, sure. All right. Oh my gosh. What the time does to us all. Speaking of 1989, I will say that Ryan Adams.
1989, yes. 2014.
Yes.
I was thinking 2014.
No, the album's name is 1980. Anyway. Jeff DeYoung, you're number 5.
My number 5, mine will be. Let's just call mine the Outliers all night and just get it out of the way. My number 5. I said what I said. My number 5 for me, because in looking at 2014, man, that was a rough year for me. I took one look at a lot of 2014. I'm like, I didn't listen to a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 for me was Money Sucks, Friends Rule by Dylan Francis, because he really started that Get Low. There was around here, you couldn't go to without hearing Get Low from him and DJ Snake. He was able, with his personality, to just wrangle in some of the up and comers, at least at the time, and some established artists to get in on some of his tracks. His social media presence is off the charts. He does a lot of really funny things. He got involved with Major Lazer and Brendan Urie and the Chain Gang of 74 on this album. Had a lot of other good tracks on that, but for me, in looking at a lot of where EDM was going, it's like Get Low really got his name out there, and DJ Snakes at the time as well. Set Me Free. He collaborated with Martin Garrix on Not Butter. Is one of the funniest songs I've ever heard. And one of those where like some EDM, I get it. It's a love-hate relationship for people. I found it to be pretty accessible as far as what he was going for, and as he later had his alter ego DJ Hansel show up and do all his deep house stuff, that was another just evolution for me for him, and I just found it to be a really good album.
Kind of a common name for somebody of that nature, right? That you'd expect it to be like like his outlier name. What was it again? What'd you call it? What was his name?
Oh, when he DJs is DJ Hansel.
DJ Hansel.
Hansel.
Hansel. Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's just all deep house and just completely disavows himself of even knowing who Dylan Francis is. Like they just hate each other, and it's comical, but it's fun to see someone A, not take themselves too seriously, and B, still put out pretty quality tracks and get, seemingly get anybody he wants involved in them.
Does he do his own production?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I wondered sometimes some of those, you figure, do they do their own production sometimes because they're in their own head? Then somebody else comes in, hey, what if you did this? What if you, yeah, cool. All right, that outlier that is okay. First outlier of the night, Jeff DeYoung.
I'm gonna go with.
He's still trying to decide. I love it.
I'm gonna go with Slipknot, The Gray Chapter.
Okay.
It is their 5th album, but it was the first album they had released in 6 years due to the death of a band member. But this album had basically is what everyone was waiting for. It had 6 singles and was a very, very successful album for the band, critically and just, for the fan base. And I think several of the songs they still play off this album in their concerts, and they probably forever will. But just and a lot of tracks on the album too. I don't remember how many, but a lot of tracks. But yeah, it's definitely considered heavy metal, but Slipknot kind of has their own style, and a lot of heavy raw percussion and melody with screaming and blood coming out your ears, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, I that might have been the one that got me. I mean, when the first album came out, I had to have it, but then I couldn't digest it. And then Iowa, I don't know that I tried that too. Great album cover. I love having it in my collection. I don't think I've gone back to it since. But that was the Gray Chapter was a start of like, okay, I'm starting to finally understand what the screaming is and the level of progressive rock metal that's going on. Just yeah. But the later stuff, man, even a couple not the last album, but the one before was a knockout for me. So
yeah, it was.
All right, good choice. All right. I had a hard time getting my 5 in order. Once I went through this exercise, I started to go back and look at things and from a different perspective. So my number 5 comes from a legend's son, Sean Lennon, from John Lennon. The Ghost of a Saber-Toothed Tiger was the name of the band. When you see a title like that, you either think, wow, this is going to go incredibly wrong, or there's something unique going on. And there was something unique. There's something, that album is Midnight Sun. Sean Lennon really knows how to orchestrate. He has a sound. He has an ear for it. This is prog psych, if you will. And it's a ridiculously well-crafted album. The band is super tight, and the album is near a gem, from start to finish. And it's not hashing up something you already heard before in any way, shape, or form. I would say afterwards, when you got your Les Claypool connection and stuff, then the rehashing of things started. But the Ghost of the Saber-Toothed Tiger, the Midnight Sun, was my number 5, and that edged out Ryan Adams' self-titled album from that year, which has a Bruce Springsteen raw kind of rock delivery. All the songs are very well put together. And Ryan Adams kind of gets edged out because he's had some problems. Hopefully those are behind him because he's a hell of a songwriter and performer. I would love to see him live, but anyway, back to Suzie Q for number 4.
Okay. So this one, again, there are a few that were easy for me and then I didn't really know where to go. So I just kind of listened around a little bit to see what was going on at that time. And I am going with Hooray for the Riff Raff, Small Town Heroes. Do you know them? Anybody?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. So this was
was not on my list, but I do know. Yes.
fifth studio
That might have
album.
been that might have been debut, right?
No, fifth studio
No.
album.
Okay.
I would say it's Americana. I would say it's folk. I would say I don't really know what to compare it to. It's Alinda Lee Segura is the vocalist, and she's got a really interesting voice. It's a little bit on the deeper side. Who am I trying to think of right now? Fiona Appleman? I don't know. But she's got a really good voice. The songs are stories. They kind of balance a little bit of political, a little bit of social, a little bit of, anything you can imagine, any kind of stories you might see in the news, they kind of sing about and make it interesting. I'm trying to think, Mark, what is that? What was it? Greendale?
Yes. Yes.
Greendale,
Neil Young's album Greendale.
I'm not comparing it so much, but I guess it's a very lighter version of, somebody doing something similar. And it works. I think it's an interesting listen if you're trying to look for something completely different. I think it would be great riding in a car with your windows down. It's just got that feel and tone to it. So I did not hear this back in 2014, but it's out there, and I would probably go back and listen to some more of their albums based on it to see what they've done since. So that's it.
Yeah, it's a good pick. It's a good pick. 2014, tough to get your ear past 1989. That on radio, etc. So yeah, they weren't going to get a lot of radio play for sure.
Yeah, 2014 was just a rough year for me. Like that was the year I moved, got divorced, lost everything. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to music, but what's funny is going back and looking at some of these albums that I picked, I'm like, these are all the songs that when they come across my phone, like streaming or something, and usually it's like if I hear a song and I can't place the album, I go, oh, that's the 2014 album for sure. And it usually is.
It's your marker.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, when I wasn't paying attention, that's the shit right there. Yeah.
But I've heard the songs. I just don't associate them because it's not like I sat around and looked at an album cover and listened to like I used to. But
yeah,
when in the divorce realm, right? Does everyone just listen to Phil Collins? Is that because he had the worst divorce songs of all time?
That wouldn't be good. No.
You get. I don't know. Every time I'm on YouTube, I see these. They're talking about all these songs he wrote because of his divorce and everything. Like I Don't Care Anymore and tons of.
Well, I'm sorry that was a tough year for you, Jeff. But I do recall for me it was like a year of a lot of Pringles.
A lot of
year of a lot of what?
Pringles.
Oh yes. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Jeff was over the house always bringing gifts.
Mm-hmm.
It was also the year of Jeff too at the same time, which is crazy. The question is which Jeff, because there's so many. Jeff DeYoung, speaking of Jeffs, number 4.
I'm probably doing number 4 a disservice, but in terms of me being late to the party, I was definitely late to the party on this. Run the Jewels 2 from Run the Jewels, Killer Mike and LP. I wish I had known about this a whole lot sooner, because I think for anybody who hadn't heard them, the fact that they were able to locate and get Zach De La Roca on a track at the time
Wow.
was landscape changing for them. I just peeking how many different publications for what that would be worth had this as one of the best rap and hip hop albums of that year. Says something about hip hop that year, just the same. But so much of this album I enjoyed from start to finish, and the fact that they took this album and remixed it entirely with cat noises and released it as renamed all the tracks and put out Meow the Jewels. It's at times cringy to listen to, but again, somebody at the time who might not have entirely taken themselves too seriously, and still widespread critical. I mean, Killer Mike, last year went on his own and won a Grammy, and they've just blown up since in their own. Two guys who were very indie hip hop at the time, and then it's like, wait, you got Zach to do what? And that song just goes, and it was featured in, I believe, maybe I have that wrong. I thought it was in a video game. I might be thinking of Dion.
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't think it was in a. I was trying to think it was in a movie. I can't.
Yeah, I know Dion is who I'm thinking of for the Far Cry series, but probably not. I have to go back and look. But that album is just so incendiary. Killer Mike, when he hits just his triplet rhythm of going through his lyrics, second to none as far as I'm concerned. And I've been looking for playlists for just triplet rapping, just bump, 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 and it seems just effortless for him, and LP just comes in from behind and just knocks rhyme after rhyme right out of the park. So I realize it's number 4 for me, and I said I probably did it a disservice, but in terms of what I had access to at the time, I heard that and was like, I need to hear what came before this. I slept on this entirely.
Yeah, I want to say that when I heard that album, it was late in the year. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was early on. But then again, with me, I'll stray toward picking up the hip hop and rap and trip hop or whatever toward when I have time, because it's a harder listen for me. I have to pay more attention, like other genres. But that one, I don't know what Zach was doing at the time. There was a time where he was recording. He had an album. I don't know if that was in and around that year or something, but he has never found a way an outlet to put out an album that people, which is odd considering he's the voice of Rage Against the Machine, but that's odd to me that he's never been able to grab a spotlight for himself. But that's a good pick. Run the Jewel. Obviously that'll be on a lot of people's list, I would think, considering 2014. Mr. Young.
I'm gonna go with Royal Blood, the debut album. And man, it is so refreshing. I don't know if you guys are like me, but when you find a debut album that you really like, it's like almost therapeutic, and it's almost like a relief that there is another good band out there. Like I don't want to be stuck being the guy that listens to old music because nothing new good comes out. It's all not what it used to be, So it's nice when something comes fresh. But yeah, debut album, and I did read something kind of interesting. They read where they started to gain mainstream attention in the summer of 2013, when a couple of their songs were sent to different radio stations for airplay, but they had the same management company as Arctic Monkeys, and so one of the band members, the drummer from Arctic Monkeys, wore a Royal Blood T-shirt on stage when they played Glastonbury, so that people were like, "Oh, who's Royal Blood? Who's Royal Blood?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's only like 3 guys in the band, but pretty good straight ahead rock, man, with pretty catchy lyrics and good vocals and nice percussion, and kind of like more of a deep, raw, bassy guitar, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, there's only two guys doing all that mess, right? Ditto. I have Royal Blood, as my number 4.
Oh, that's fun.
You remember Collective Soul? Well, here's your bassier driven Collective Soul. I mean, it's a little bit danker, but damn it, the riff is there, whether it's in the bass line of it or the drum. It's an all-out attack. I love it. And for me, I look at that band and I go, God, they probably just go, all right, so we're gonna judge this on the crowd movement. Ready, go. And I don't know how anybody in the crowd could just stand there and go, yeah, this is okay. You're gonna be going like this. You're gonna be that's it. Shine. What was the one? Was it on the second Collective Soul record? Yeah, right. I think they said something like, yeah. It's that whole is it now? I would say if someone said, is it a perfect
The
album?
one where haven't
No.
let your light shine down, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it gets a little samey, as Everett would say.
Maybe.
It does have that, but they don't try to make this an hour-long album, so that's good. Yeah, great debut. And I couldn't believe it was two guys pulling that off. It's kind of crazy. I was just thinking this, like, it's 2014. Grateful Dude, were we still doing small wares and stuff together?
Yes.
Yeah, might have been the last year.
About 15,
no.
16-ish.
15,
No,
16?
I think that was 2 years before that. We started. We started 2014. We were still fairly high in the in it, to say the least.
Yeah, it was, I think, to 2016. Sue probably knows best because that's when I got dark. Anyway, now she's in the dark. Look at her there. All right, Sue, you're number 3.
All right. Well,
You see what I
Chef
did
Jeff.
there? Nobody knows what I did there, right?
What?
Come on, somebody help. I got dark. Royal Blood, that was their second album. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
You're just deeper than all of us.
I know I'm just my own worst enemy.
I'll wait till the pop-up video version comes out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this one, maybe Chef Jeff might like this guy because I don't know how much he's like. I know he didn't care for either of my other two, but I went with Gary Clark Jr. live. Blues. I mean, what can you even say? There's nothing to say. I actually just went through and watched all of them live on YouTube, and it's awesome, and it's bluesy, and it's everything it should be. I don't know. Does anybody here like him?
I used to like him.
You used to
I
like
used to like him.
Okay.
He's gone. He was supposed to be the next big guy in
Yeah.
blues, and he kind of went off and tried to be Lenny Kravitz, and he's not. He does not have the vocal capabilities of Lenny Kravitz. That live album was the best thing he's done since. Every album's had this soul thing he's got to do, a little R&B. It's almost like he lost the love for the guitar. I don't know, but the last record had a couple of things on it, but yeah, I want Lenny Kravitz. I'll listen to Lenny Kravitz.
All right, well.
But that album,
Or go listen to this album. Good album.
Well, that live album is based on the prior record, which is a banger. It's a fantastic record. Yeah, and the one before it, the debut.
This one has lots of great guitar solos.
Yeah,
he teased everything up. He teased them all up every single song. So does a good job.
Good crowd too for that album. Yeah, I think he might have been in his home state too, where that was recorded, if I remember.
And I might not be done with Gary Clark Jr. So
Mr. DeYoung.
I won't belabor. My number 3 has been referenced already, so I will not take up much valuable airtime. My number 3 referenced earlier was .5 by Slipknot. No surprise, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't even notice
um,
the shirt. Now I do.
yeah, there it is. The guy wearing the t-shirt to the band you're going to see. Uh, I was so I've seen them twice. I didn't learn about them until one of my first years coaching volleyball, and a kid wore the shirt to practice. I was like, "What's that all about?" They're like, "Oh, you don't know who this is? You could go check them out." And that's
That's
the
cool.
first I heard something like that since like from college radio days, like Pantera, or like,
Mm.
and that's not even
Yeah.
a fair comparison.
No,
But
not
just
not even.
the aggression and the speed at which they were going. And when I heard their first album, I was like, oh my, this is what I was looking for. This if you're gonna go in and you're gonna try and get into like metal and that style of metal, like start here, just go for it and see what happens. And like it was said, it was the first album since the death of one of their members, and that's got to be hard for any band to actually try and do. My favorite band ever is Depeche Mode, and I'm still trying to navigate the new album and life after Fletch. But just the same, not only that, with this album, it was the first album to feature Jay Weinberg on drums, just the same, and not knowing how bands respond to that. The second I heard the first track off of it, 19, with its, the xylophones and how everything was just toned down and how clear Corey Taylor was with the vocals, I was just like, these dudes are in pain and they are gonna rock the frick out on this album. And maybe that was a therapeutic thing, but there's just so much driving this album that I don't like the previous album had Vermilion, and that was, one of kind of a direction they're trying to go in now when they're able to get together and make music. But like we said, 5 or 6 singles off this, still, touring off this. I think the last tour I saw them with was when they had when Volume 3 Subliminal Verses came out. And no, my family did not go with me to that. I went by myself.
Hey, I went by myself.
Probably didn't want to go.
No, not at the time. I got her to go see Corn and Mudvayne and Disturbed, and that was even a stretch. So yeah, this one wasn't on. Yes, go have fun, honey. Yes, go have a good time. Go see Slipknot. Yes, this is all good. But just about within each song on that album, there is reference to Root and to Paul Gray, and it at times is tough to listen to in a good way, like not in a like, oh my God, really, but like wondering how they were going to come off of that. It was a message that they needed to send, like that they're gonna press on and they're gonna be harder than ever. And like to your point, they're still selling out arenas. Not Fest is happening again this summer in Iowa and all over the place. It's gonna be a good time. I'm curious as to where they're gonna go, because their I can't even speak tonight. Latest EP, Adderall. I could take or leave that a little bit. I need to listen to it a little bit more, but man, this was something. It was unexpectedly good and listenable for me at the time.
Sometimes things are done too fast, too quick. They weren't trying to I don't know about a record label any of these days pushing people, but yeah, they've come a long, long way and gone through things, but their sound is almost their own. I outside of metal, they you don't go. They sound like they don't. They just don't. They just don't. Good pick, Jeff Young.
Let's see. I'm going with I'm going with Ocean at the End by the Tea Party, their 8th album, but it was 10 years after their previous album, Seven Circles. Just, it's a solid Tea Party album. It didn't get higher than number 17 in Canada, which is, I guess just once you've been around a while, people just, I don't know, not that it really matters. Who cares about rankings? But it was still a good album. It's a really good album for them, I thought. I don't think I've seen them since they put that album out, so I don't think I've seen any of that stuff live. But just just another solid Tea Party album.
And the odd thing there is it's not just another Tea Party record. I believe, it's my opinion, that this is a more rock-driven Tea Party, more progressive rock-driven Tea Party. This is not Mellotron and heavierness. This is a more return to like a root rockier kind of feel, like a, I don't know, like not like the Who, but it has that. And Ian Anderson is on the record. How do you get Ian Anderson on the record? That's crazy. I didn't even know that they traveled in the same circles. They do. I actually, Jimmy Page and Jeff Martin are connected too. So which is crazy. So, so yeah, great. It's a really good record. It was on my list. It fell a little bit off, but it started low and then it started to gain momentum, because I remember the first time I heard it, there's a couple of great ones, and then there's those ones that they start to grow on you because it doesn't have that same Middle Eastern type of feel that the other records sort of had, or that stigmata that they're so crafty at. So, but yeah, great record.
Well, Alex will be listening to them tonight.
Yes, and about the Headstones just are finishing their set at this point, and the Tea Party will be next, apparently. They did do a cover of Tragically Hip, Pink Floyd, and House of the Rising Sun. Headstones, that is, which is interesting.
Oh,
wow. Yeah. He said wild, good show, really good show. He's never seen them, so that's cool. So I'm going progressive rock, a band I had not heard of, until I did, like you people are doing right now, all 7 of you that are watching, that I watched another show and somebody said to me, you got to hear this band. I want to thank Louis Nasser of Sea of Tranquility, musician, aficionado of dark progressive rock, although this is not as dark as some of the stuff. This is Cynic, Kindly Bent to Free Us. Cynic has been is a 2000s-ish progressive rock band, but this album is a marker in their catalog where they just said we have to take this from progressive rock to somewhere else so we can lift ourselves up out of the dirge of standard progressive rock and get that space into it. They've got a pace and arrangements that are bizarre, really taken care of. The guitar work is similar to that of Mars Volta. There's a Animals as Leaders kind of feel to it. So this is avant-garde type of prog in places, but still has that familiarity of standard, what you're thinking of prog. The vocals are there, they're good, they're solid, they're understood. They don't reach, they're not pitchy, but they are in that yes range, like to me. That is just how my ears hear it. But Jason, was it Jason Danagi? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's a great argument for him and his ability to capture an engineering. Now, this is a guy who's worked with Ryan Adams, who I mentioned earlier, and Josh Ritter. All of those guys are nowhere near in this level of musicianship that these guys are. And this guy puts them on the map by taking this and putting it out there at a high level. It's a really good prog record. This is a band sort of like Haken, if you will, if you know who I'm talking about, out there, progressive rock bands of the new era that are really super talented and really good at what they do. So that's my number 3, I think, right? No? Yes. Number 2, Sue.
okay. Well, I'm about to disappoint you again, I think, because I'm pretty sure I remember when this came out, you didn't care for it. Or maybe I'm wrong. It's Coldplay's Ghost Stories.
Who?
Coldplay.
Oh,
Ghost Stories.
okay. I missed the Ghost Stories thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, I want to make sure. Yeah.
Well, I liked it. And it's got, A Sky Full of Stars, and who doesn't like that song? So that's, I just like his voice. I like their music. I know I feel like I'm kind of on a kick tonight with this 2014, and it's very just mainstream music, but I guess maybe that's where I was at the time. I don't know. But for me, it worked. For me, it was okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of songs on there. That one there is a little formulaic. But they just, I don't know, they attach themselves to Brian Eno and just flush the toilet of their several first albums for some bigger sound that doesn't even sound big, doesn't act big. I don't know.
Was
I
that
Well,
mean,
from
the
what
before or
I
voice.
after?
understand, though, I think they were trying to bring it down from their stadium, so they were trying to be more intimate on that album. But
Was that before or after his wife left to go live with Iron Man and work for him?
I think it was right in that time. I made it. It might have been just after or during, but the what was it called? The mutual.
Mutual departation of,
I don't remember. It was like something.
I don't
Once
know.
Iron
I mean,
Man promoted her to CFO, she's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm bigger than you. I'm bigger than Coldplay.
she was
I
dating
don't know.
Tony
I'm
Stark.
harsh on that band for some reason because of where it started and where it is today. They've got
Mhm.
something coming, and I'm hoping that the
Oh, so you
disappointments are
haven't
over.
given up on them.
I don't give up on anybody generally except McDonald's. Anyway, another story for another day. Jeff
Yeah.
DeYoung.
All right. Another outlier. But I think
Okay.
but I think you'll appreciate this because I think you won't be surprised at this. For me, my number two, finally releasing an album, Knife Party's Abandoned Ship,
It was
because
on my list. This is number 7.
you're welcome. I very much enjoyed Pendulum. I still do. They've got a few new things out, and they're touring again. They're actually doing a DJ set, either summer or fall near me. I don't know that I'm going to check it out. It's a DJ set, but still. Finally, they were getting told keep releasing EPs, release small chunks, and they were just like, nah, we're going to release an album, put it out there. It got leaked early by iTunes, if I'm not mistaken, and they were like, "Yep, might as well go get it." Playing a lot of those, and that was where Rob and Gareth, took that act to pretty much every festival they could, and within that community, I don't know that it saw the mainstream success we would equate with a lot of other acts out there for sure, but within EDM, it was a shot in the arm that was needed, and there are very few tracks that you would skip over on that, even right from the jump. Um, Boss Mode is a hard hitter. Resistance is a lot of fun to listen to. Even the end of the album picks up. There was some chat like the first, like a lot of albums. The first half is good. The second half not so much. I think the second half holds up fairly well.
Do albums have halves anymore?
All,
They
only,
don't have sides anymore, do they? I guess they do.
A, B.
If they still press them, they must have sides.
my vinyl has sides, but yes,
You actually had that on vinyl?
No, I'm trying very hard to acquire it, because that's what I would actually like to have.
For Christmas.
It's probably
I'll be
out there, but still
Mhm.
that for me was like, in terms of what I was listening to at the time, for me that was just like, thank God they made an album, and like this is one I can keep up with, again, within that community, within that genre for sure.
Yeah, that's my overall problem with the entire genre. You give me 2 songs and I'm like, yes, yes, and then you don't give me 2 songs anymore. I don't know what you do. You go off and do something. And then you're with your band again. I mean, Pendulum. I didn't even put that together. Obviously, I wrote the article for Unknown Sunday on Knife Party, and one of my favorite parts of that exploration and stuff is going to in the live show, right? And just going. I mean, god damn, it looks like there's more cables than the Matrix. It looks like they're trying to completely what is it, Christmas Vacation. They got to use the nuclear power shit to get this thing to run, because I mean the state, there's only what is it, it's only one guy on a turntable in this huge ass freaking place. He don't need that much power, does he? God damn it, I guess he does.
One would think that those 4 decks, the USB slot or the SD card slot, the mixer, but just the same, yeah, it's they're that is an electrician's nightmare every time I watch somebody perform. And I love the lighting. Check out an Excision show sometime if you want to see some
Oh, I should have gone
insane
to New Year's Eve, but
visuals.
we were with the Grateful Dude.
Mhm.
We were doing Meal to Music. I'm like, I was thinking about, God, I wonder what's going on in downtown Buffalo right now with Excision playing, you know?
Well, there was something
Holy
going on.
shit.
Yeah, and later
Yeah,
on,
that's
not 2014 related even, but then later on, Knife Party hooked up with Tom Morello to
Yeah.
do Battle
Yeah.
Sirens and do that at festivals. So they've stepped outside that comfort zone a little bit, but I think Abandoned Ship was a nice thank you for all the chunks they had been putting out.
Yeah, I like the Haunted House EP. I'm good with that and stuff, but yeah. Good choice. Good choice. Thanks for bailing me out there, because I was like, oh, if he's on the show, God, he's got to put that band in there. He's gotta get him on there. Knife Party was ridiculous. All right, Mr. Young.
Well, I almost picked Moist, Glory Under Dangerous Skies, but instead going with Seether, Isolate, and Medicate. And they're both about on the same level for me, but the Seether album is like it's their 6th album, and I always think it's interesting that they're from South Africa, because how many South African bands can you name? But
Many.
this was like this album had like a lot of success, like critically and in different many countries. I mean, the US, it was number 1 on the US rock album Billboard, US top alternative Billboard, top hard rock. It was like number 1, all those. It was just really popular. I like the one quote that Blabbermouth wrote when they reviewed it. It said, "Isolate and Medicate shows Seether trying to roll after more than a decade and a half in the life, but it presents a case of identity crisis, since it's apparent that these guys are capable of writing pretty kick-ass stuff if left to their own devices." So I don't know if that's like complimenting them on like not listening to other partners
Shit that's out
in the
there.
industry or what.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it's not honestly an album. It's not a go-to album for me. Like, I don't have a lot of 2014 go-to albums, but it's just it's a good listen, and it's definitely like this album. You kind of notice a little more depth in their writing, and it's not as one of their heavier albums, if that's what you prefer, is the heavier Seether, but it still does have some of the heavier riffs and the good the harmonies and melodies.
Yeah, I like that record. They don't make any bad records. They're slightly different.
Yeah.
I
His
noticed
vocal is so
when
strong, it really carries it.
Yeah. I think so. I think you're right. I believe that was on a lot of lists, and I was like, I know that album, but okay. But hey, that's a good choice. It could have been on mine. At a certain point I went, I'm familiar with it. I'm comfortable. I can hear it. I can do it. But these are the albums that I really enjoy. And I'm going to send out a shocker right now at number 2. It's not my number 1. I love Elbow, but there is one album, one band better than that. So Elbow, the takeoff and landing of everything. When I heard, when me, I listen to the album from start to finish. So the minute you do this, it starts off with this melancholy, achy song. And, obviously there's some sort of breakup. And I believe it was probably him and his significant other at the time. But then he gets into this bass synth riff. I call it a riff. I know it's not a guitar, but it is what it is. And he's got this glorious line that he delivers in that English that he does so well. I'm talking about Guy Garvey. He goes, "Glory be, these fuckers are ignoring me." Yeah, it's crazy, great lyric. Because then he does it again, and he says why they're ignoring him, and then he's just so talented in writing, and the way he hooks and delivers each track, and they're never the same. The songs are never symbolically the same. Then of course, I am infatuated with the song Sad Captains, which is apparently a Shakespearean ode to the drinking buddies kind of thing from one of the Shakespearean plays. It's one of the finest songs recorded in the catalog from them. Obviously, it has that sensibility of British. I liken them to how the Tragically Hip are Canadian. Elbow is very English and how they deliver, and I enjoy it immensely. I will follow them to the ends of the earth, but they were not my number one. So let your imagination run wild. What might be number one? Back to Sue for her number one.
No, let me interject number one really quick.
Okay.
I have a number one which I want to interject. It's Pink
cool.
Floyd.
I love it.
Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
I've listened
Endless
to it many
River.
times. I have the album. I think it's really, really good. It is much like their earlier stuff, but this stuff's just contagious to listen to. It really is. So if you guys have a chance, listen to the album.
A very contrarian point of view too, I will add, because it is one of the most hated Pink Floyd albums in the when it came out. Everyone just it's on my list. It was my number 21. I believe, and it was going to be my honorable mention. So since you brought it up, I believe it's engaging. It's I love that there's no singing on it. I don't need any singing on it. I love that record. I think it's
a great record.
So well done. And that's a fabulous cover. It states everything. It shows everything. Yes, I applaud that choice. That's a great choice. I'm glad you said something. I was going to go there. So, that's awesome. Great choice.
Good idea for a show, actually. Albums with bad reputations that you love.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of on my wheel. It's in the back of my mind here. It's been sitting there. The contrarian point of view, like, I could say I hate Kiss, but I love that one record. No, I actually hate Kiss. Sue, you're number one.
All right. Well, I haven't named them in a long time, but I decided to this time. I went with the Foo Fighters, Sonic Highways. I think it was their 8th studio album. So every track it was done in a different city, and I could not remember them all, so I kind of listed them here. So they recorded, I should
Austin,
say, Chicago,
Seattle,
Arlington County, Nashville, Austin, Joshua Tree, New Orleans, Seattle, New York City. And they when they were in Nashville, they worked with Zach Brown. Austin, they worked with Gary Clark Jr. What Did I Do? God Is My Witness. They played in Preservation Hall with the band there, which was awesome.
Cool.
So kind of a cool thing and something slightly different. What's that?
Who was it? Who was it in Seattle? What
I wasn't familiar with. I'm not familiar with
greatest
that.
producer in the history of like the 1980s.
I know. Was it
Mutt Lange.
No, was it?
Yeah, Mutt Lange.
Okay.
He took them to the studio. Remember, they were talking about how it was they had to get a viola down it was
No, I
they
haven't seen the documentary.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, have you seen it? Huh?
No, I haven't seen it. I've only heard it.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch it. We'll watch it.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
it's a good.
So, what's your favorite song on there?
Well, you guess.
The Rainbow Connection.
No.
Sonic Highway?
No.
No. What is it?
Gary Clark.
Oh, the Gary Clark Jr. Okay.
My female.
All right. The Preservation Hall one was really nice. That was great.
Well, yes, and of course, good memories there. So
yeah.
Can you imagine being there and the food walk in? That would be incredible.
I think you're imagining it right now.
I am. By the way, that's it for me. The food's. I'm giving him a nod.
Awesome. Jeff DeYoung, number one.
Number one for me, probably a little bit out of character for me, but it was another one. how Sue had referenced Taylor Swift and her album. I couldn't ignore Sia's Thousand Forms of Fear. Where could you go and not hear Chandelier?
Mhm.
2 billion streams to date and counting. And it's, never realizing that's actually her 6th album. So it's one of those.
Oh,
It to me. It's like one of those like, well, where do I want to dive into the back catalog? Maybe not. It's like that's the 6th album she's put out. What happened to the other 5? For me, but you learned through that. A, she's a heck of a songwriter. B, how much she writes songs for other people.
mhm.
Yeah.
At the time, also the musical relationship that her and Diplo had, where that led to LSD with Labyrinth and the little side project they would spawn later on,
Oh.
which was just as fascinating to hear the 3 of them just weave music together. I believe that one had 4 singles. I'm more partial to Elastic Heart on that one. I like Chandelier, but Elastic Heart, Fire Meet Gasoline are, good tracks for me. And, as far as like reintroducing yourself to the world, I think Chandelier and just the way her voice at times just sounds like it's been shot out of a cannon. And you if you like it or not, when you hit that chorus, if one head's not turning, like going, what was that? It's hard to ignore. So as much as I had all of those other things, for me, another one of those like whoa moments. That album was a big whoa moment for me.
Mhm.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Chandelier. Jeff Young. What's your number 1?
I picked Big Rex 4th album, Ghosts. It's scary good, and a lot of tracks on it. I think there's like 13 or 14 tracks on it. I don't know if it's their best album, but if someone told me they thought it was their best, I wouldn't argue. I mean, it's pretty damn good. It's a good variety, great, excellent vocals, great musicianship. I mean, it's just, I just love listening to a lot of those songs, man. They're just so good.
Yeah, it was one of those that when it came out after I can't think of the prior record, but I was wondering if this had, you're always one with these bands that have had long careers, right? And they had like a moment where the lead singer did his own thing. You're kind of sitting there going, when is this going to end? Where is this the album where I'm going to go, ooh, what's going on? What happened there? But they haven't done that. I don't think they've ever done that. So that's good, great record. It's hard to stay away from Canada, isn't it? I don't know why it keeps going back to Canada. All right, so my number 1, Do the Beast, the Afghan Wigs. I'm telling you, I didn't think they could have possibly done another Gentleman record, but oh hell yeah, I was completely wrong. The entry beat and riff that happens and the vocal drag out, knock you down, angered but sexy, sex driven. It's gripping, and it's every track, and it's got something. It's not for everybody. I remember the first time I played Gentleman, Sue was like, this, no. There's not a track on it that's not going through some sort of emotion or motion. You feel the bass through you, and that vocal delivery that is, it's all him. Why can't I think of his name now? That's terrible. Greg Dooley. Whew. And he's done some solo records, but Afghan Wigs, Do the Beast was my number 1. It took some time. I was going back and forth, and that album is just screaming, great, grungy alternative. They just do whatever the hell they want to do, and I love that about a band. That's not going to win no top 40. So any honorable mentions? I'll start with Sue if she'd like to honorable mentionize something.
No, I don't
That's
have
a
any,
no.
but I do
Okay.
recall the not lying story.
Yeah.
It was buried back here. Yeah.
Okay. It's all right. Does the Grateful Dude have an honorable mention? Are you sure there wasn't a Willie Nelson record in 2014? There had to be. Have 75 of them, right?
Nope, there wasn't one in 2014 that I know.
Okay.
No
All
Willie.
right.
Free Willie. Free Willie.
Oh my God, I just lost Jeff DeYoung, so I'll go to Jeff Young at the moment. Maybe he's going to grab his honorable mention. Ooh, that didn't sound good.
I mean, I mentioned the one for Moist, but
Oh yes, yes. Yeah.
that was actually originally called Moist 4. It's called Glory Under Dangerous Skies, but it was actually their first studio offering since 1999. So them and Tea Party kind of had a resurgence that year, I guess.
Yeah. David Usher. He kind of did his solo projects and kind of then decided to go back, and that's a good record. I don't think those first two records, anything ever got better than those first two records.
Nah, I don't think so.
Mr. DeYoung, do you have a honorable mention or two?
I had a few, but I'll keep with one honorable mention. Just in the interest of being quirky and off the beaten path as usual. I got Mackenzie gave me the heads up on the Primus Charlie and the Chocolate Factory album, and I'm so glad he did, because it's just a hoot to listen to how Les Claypool and his gang just wants to reinvent every song on that. Like, hey, Dad, you got to check this out. And again, not everybody's cup of tea for sure. But the second you hear some of the Les just dropping bass lines to these just plodding along tracks for Oompa Loompa and some of these, it's a riot to listen to.
Yes.
It's the replayability factor. You got to be in the mood for it, but if you are, you can start to finish that one if you really want to, and just a good time to listen to. And to give a +1, if I could, to Chef Jeff, Endless River is a fine underrated album. I like my Pink Floyd. So atmospheric, sounds great on a surround sound. You get a little bit of singing at the end, and just, if you can just it's a sit back and just indulge album. So I'm glad you mentioned that one. I had that in my list, but yeah, Primus Trying the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, it's a great album. I've heard that album.
It's yeah, and it's not long. It's only 40 minutes. I was looking it up because I was like, I'm pretty sure it's pretty quick, right?
Quick.
Yeah. Cool. I like it. All right, so I have two honorable mentions, and so the first one, oh my gosh, where's my listing going? Both are Canadian. Go figure. So Ruben and the Dark. I did not know about Funeral Sky. I knew about records after, but Funeral Sky is one hell of a dark folk record. It's got an unpredictable format. It is disjointed, to say the least, in its flow, but in that it's beguiling and sort of correct in all of that. I know that doesn't sound, when you listen to it, you'll know what I mean. It's honest, it's poignant, and it's engaged. It's engaging. It's hard to be engaging sometimes when it's sparse, and this has very sparse moments in it, and it throughout. And it's again, I'm a darker, beguiled kind of individual. I kind of like that stuff. So you can't, if you're a Taylor Swiftie, it's not going to be in your wheelhouse, I don't think, unless she starts to go dark. You'll follow her into the darkness. I don't know, but it's one of those that I discovered going back to 2014. I saw the name and I went, oh, I heard one of those records before, folk kind of thing, and then I went, did I? And then I went back and I had not. The other one is by a woman in Canada that I have been working on putting together an Unknown Sunday on. She is not unknown in Canada. She's pretty well known in Canada, but in a very indie sense. And that's M. Griner, Gryner. Her M is EMM. I will be doing an Unknown Sunday, but the album is called Torrential. And she has put out some great albums in her later years. There's one that I've been smitten with from her younger debut, but this album is it holds a lot of genres in it, but she holds it together vocally. She's a solo artist that's managed to live in this genre and outside the genres and just do whatever she wants and produce herself. Her father was a big producer, and he did Rob Zombie records. Well, maybe one or maybe not two, but but it's a great listen. Is it pop? No. Is it folk? Maybe a little bit of country in it. It's a well balanced recording in that, what do we call it? Pop, alternative pop sense, or indie pop rock, I guess, if you want. But it's got a lot going on in it. I really enjoy that record. And it kept creeping up. But well, this was awesome. I want to thank the panelists tonight for going down this 2014 rabbit hole with us. I really want to thank the Grateful Dude for coming on in and giving us Endless River, as well as oh my God, what did I forget? See, I forget records. It's terrible. But
Terrible.
I'm just glad he's been back on the show, and we can't wait for the next time he's on and can get deep into the woods with us like he normally is. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. It's all about albums, bands, anything we can get our hot little hands on. Coming up, it'll be album review Saturday, and I am going to review the album from YouTube sensation Mary Spender, her new album Super Sexy Heartbreak, and a few others, but I'll be doing that from Philadelphia, well, just outside of Philly. So I'll be in a hotel room. I don't know if I'm going to be by myself or with some panelists, not sure yet, but I want to say that that's coming up. And this Sunday, on Unknown Sunday, going to France. It's Bastille Day. What French band am I bringing? Not going to tell you yet. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, the Real Music Appreciation Channel. Until next time, happy listening.